Halo semuanya, berjumpa lagi dalam Dimas SD Random. Kali ini aku akan melanjutkan kembali membacakan untuk buku novel judulnya Throne of Glass karangan dari Sarah J. Maas ya. Sebelumnya emang kalau memang misalnya teman-teman mau mengetahui lanjutannya, sebelumnya bisa cek aja di link descriptionnya, sudah nanti akan aku kasih. Dan ya, udah malam ya. Just kidding. Oke, kita lanjut aja ke chapter ketiga ya. Dimulai dari sekarang. Chapter 3. The prince's eyes shone with amusement at her freshness, but lingered a bit too long on her body. Celaena could have racked her nails down his face for staring at her like that. Yet, the fact that he'd been bothered to look when she was in such a filthy state. A slow smile spread across her face. The prince crossed his long legs. Leave us. He ordered the guards. Kel, stay where you are. Celaena stepped closer as the guards shuffled out, shutting the door. Foolish move, but Kel's face remained unreadable. He could honestly believe he couldn't her if she tried to escape. She straightened her spine. What were they planning that would be make them so irresponsible? The prince chuckled. Don't you think it's risky to be so bold with me when your freedom is not on the line? Of all the things he could have said, that was what she had least expected. My freedom? At the sounds of the word, she saw a land of pine and snow, of sun-bleached cliffs and white-capped seas, a land where light was swallowed in the velvety green of bumps and hollows, a land that she had forgotten. Yes, your freedom. So I highly suggest, Miss Sardian, that you get your arrogance in check before you end up back in the mines. The prince uncrossed his legs. Though perhaps your attitude will be useful. I'm not going to pretend that my father's empire was built on trust and understanding. But you already know that. Her fingers curled as she waited for him to continue. His eyes met hers, probing, intent. My father has gotten it into his head that he needs a champion. It took a delicious moment for her to understand. Celaena tipped back at her head and laughed. Your father wants me to be his champion? What? Don't tell me that he managed to eliminate every noble and soul out there. Surely there's one chivalrous knight, one lord of steadfast heart and courage. Mind your mouth, Kel warned from beside her. What about you, She said, raised her brows at the captain. Oh, it was too funny. Her at King Champion. Our beloved king finds you lacking? The captain put a hand on his sword. If you be quiet, you'll hear the rest of what His Highness has to tell you. She faced the prince. Well, Dorian leaned back at his throne. My father needs someone to aid the empire, someone to help him maneuver around difficult people. You mean he needs a lackey for his dirty work? If you want to put that bluntly, then yes, the prince said. His champion will keep his opponent quiet as the grave. She said sweetly. A smile tugged in on Dorian's lips, but he kept his face straight. Yes, to work for the king of Otherland as his loyal servant. She raised her chin to kill for him, to be the fang in the mouth of the beast that he had consumed half of earlier. And if I accept, then after 6 years, he'll grant you your freedom. 6 years? But the word freedom echoed through her once more. If you decline, Dorian said, anticipating her next question, you'll be remain in the Endovier. His sapphire eyes became hard, and she swore. And die here was what he didn't need to add. 6 years as a king's court dagger, or a lifetime in Endovier. However, the prince said, "There's catch." She kept her face neutral as he toyed with a ring on his finger. "The position isn't being offered to you yet. My father thought to have a bit of fun. He hosting a competition. He invited 23 members of his council to each sponsor a would-be champion to train in the glass castle and ultimately compete in a duel. Were you two to win," he said with a half smile, "you'd be officially be Otherland's assassin." She didn't return his smile. "Who exactly are my competitors?" Seeing her expression, the prince's grin faded. "Thieves and assassins and warriors from across Aurelia." She opened her mouth, but he cut her off. "If you win and prove yourself both skilled and trustworthy, my father has sworn to grant you your freedom, and while you're his champion, you'll receive a considerably salary." She barely heard his last few words. A competition against some nobody man from the gods knew where. An assassin. "What other assassin?" she demanded. "None that I've heard of. None of as famous as you. And that reminds me, you won't be competing as a Celaena Sarodian." "What?" "You'll compete under an alias. And then I suppose you heard about what happened after your trial. News is rather hard to come when you're slaving in a mine." Dorian chuckled, shaking his head. "No one knows that Celaena Sarodian is just a young woman. They all thought you were far older." "What?" she asked again, her face flushing. "How's it possible? She should be proud that she kept it hidden from the most of the world. But you kept your identity a secret all the years you were running around killing everyone. After your trial, my father thought it would be wise not inform Aurelia who you are. He wants to keep it that way. What will our enemies say if they knew we'll be betrayal of a girl? So I'm slaving in this miserable place for a name and a title that don't belong to me? Who does everyone think Adder's assassin really is? I don't know, nor I entirely care. But I do know that you were the best, and the people still whisper when they mention your name." He fixed her with a stare. "If you're willing to for me to be my champion during the months the competition will go on, I'll say it to my father freeze you after 5 years." Though he tried to console it, she should see the tension on his body. He wanted her to say yes, needed her to say yes so badly, so he was willing to bargain with her. Her eyes began glittering. "What do you mean, we're the best?" "You've been in Endovier for a year. Who knows what we're still capable of?" "I'm capable of quite a lot, thank you," she said, picking her jagged nails. She tried not to cringe at all the dirt beneath them. When was the last time her hands that had been clean? "That remains to be seen," Dorian said. "You'll be told the details of the competition when we arrive in Rift Hall. Despite the amount of fun you nobles will have betting on us, this competition seems unnecessary. Why not just hire me already? As I just said, you must prove yourself worthy." She put her hands on her hip, and her chains rattled loudly through the room. "Well, I think being Adler's assassin exceeds any sort of proof you might need." "Yes," Carol said, his bronze eyes flashing. "It proves that you're a criminal, that we shouldn't immediately trust you with the king's private business. I give my solemn oath a doubt that the king will take the word of other assassins at the spawn. Yes, but I don't see why I have to go through the train and competition. I mean, I'm bound to be a bit out of shape, but what else do you expect when I have made to do with rocks and pig's eggs in this place?" She gave Carol a spiteful grace. Dorian frowned. "So, you won't take over?" "Of course I'm going to take over," she snapped, her wrist chafed against her jackal barely enough to add her water. I'll be your absolute champion if you agree to free me in 3 years, not 5. 4. Fine, she said. It's a bargain. I made trading one of the slavery for the other, but I'm not fool. She could win back her freedom. Freedom! She felt the cold air of the wide open world, the breeze that swept from the mountains and carried her away. She could lie far from Rifthold, the capital that had been her real. Hopefully you're right, Dorian replied, and hopefully you'll live up your reputation. I anticipated winning, and I won't be pleased if you make the look foolish. And what if I lose? The gleam vanished from his eyes as he said, You'll be sent here to serve out the remaining of your sentence. Celaena's lovely vision exploded like dust from slam book. Then I may be as well leap from the window. A year in this place has worn me through. Imagine what will happen if I return. I waited in my second year. She tossed her head. Your offer seems fair enough. Fair enough indeed, Dorian said, and waved at her at Cal. Take her to her rooms and clean her up. He fixed her in with stare. We depart from Rifthold in the morning. Don't disappoint me, said Dorian. It was nonsense, of course. How difficult could be outsmart, and then operate her competitors? She didn't smile, for she knew that if she did, it will be open her to a realm of hope that had been long be closed. But still, she felt like seizing the prince and dancing. She tried to think of music, tried to think of a celebratory tune, but could only recall a solitary line from the mournful bellowing of the Iluwok songs, deep and slow like honey poured from a jar, and go home at last. She didn't notice when Captain Westfaal led her away, nor did she not notice when they walked downhill after all. Yes, she will go to Rifthold, to anywhere, even though the great kids of the weird then into hell itself, if it meant freedom. After all, you aren't an assassin for nothing. Oke, ini saja dari chapter 3 ya. Tawaran bagus sebenarnya. Aku rasa aku bayangin kalau memang dia mau menerima ya fine-fine aja. Apalagi diberi waktu 4 tahun. Wow, sumpah keren banget kalau kata itu. Kukira bakal 3 tahun, 4 tahun mencoba untuk negosiasi dan oke, langsung dia deal. Dan dia harus kompetisi dengan para assassin yang ada di seluruh wilayah Erelia tersebut. Ya, semoga ceritanya ke depan bisa lebih bagus lagi ya. Oke, jangan lupa subscribe dan komentar Anda. Tanpa kalian, aku akan berada di sini untuk menceritakan kisah selanjutnya ya. See you and bye-bye.